Hi everybody, I'm back, and today I am going to be talking about twin flames. And the reason I'm going to be talking about twin flames is because I am one, and it's a journey I never thought I would share because it's so personal and it's so deep and it hurts so friggin' much that I thought that would be something that I would just keep to myself forever. Funny how things change though, right? And we begin to have a different perspective on things, and we see things differently as time goes by. So my twin flame journey started about 12 years ago, but honestly, if you want to go back to where it really started, I was 10 when I first met this guy. And it started there. And then we went about our lives. As we hit teenage years, we sort of separated into, he walked one path and I walked another, and we went on to have families and do our things, and always from time to time thinking about each other though. Always, like memories and thoughts, and people would bring him up to me, and apparently he would hear about me, and so that went on for a long time. And then we reunited at a time where we were both single. We had practically raised our family. I had raised mine. My son was an adult, and he had a couple of teenagers, but we were both single, and we came back together, and an activation happened, and I'm not hearing much about the activation period, but there was definitely an activation that took place, and love at first sight, and lots of endorphins and adrenaline and big feelings, and very much a honeymoon phase, what I would call a honeymoon phase. But it wasn't long before we started mirroring to each other all of these things that would trigger us, and we started acting out our traumas and our family traumas, in fact, all of it, and acting out things that we didn't even know at the time where that was coming from, right? So the roller coaster began, and when it was high, it was really high and it felt really good, and when it was low, it was as low as it got, and nothing felt worse, and nothing felt worse. And so we did that for a while, and that was the running and chasing phase. And in the beginning he pursued me, and I resented the hell out of him for that, because when we got to the runner chaser phase, he was running, and this is a guy that promised me the world, and I believed him, and I was really resentful. I thought he was a player. I thought he was a liar. I thought he just, reeled me in to screw me over, right? That was the phase. But every time he would want to get back together, it seemed like I had no self-control whatsoever, and I felt crazy because this was not me and how I behaved. That's just not how I behaved in life at all. And I would take him back, and I literally was probably I was the laughing stock of the county. Everybody that knew us thought I was stupid and that I was behaving ridiculously, and why would I keep doing this, and why would I keep putting myself through it? And the truth of the matter was, I didn't know. I knew nothing of twin flames. I knew nothing of that. I had never heard of it. Lots of people had talked about soulmates, and I've got to find my other half. And I'll be honest with you, I thought that was silly, because I always felt like a whole person. And I always thought these people saying they needed to find their other half were being silly, and that they needed to discover within themselves that they were already whole. So I was kind of cynical. I didn't even realize that I was much of a romantic at the time. Very logical when it came to that kind of thing. That stuff seemed like bogus to me. It really did. And then I get hooked up in this relationship where I feel like I'm batshit crazy, I'm going to be totally honest and very brutal and very blunt in this. So, and this is just because I feel like maybe my words can help somebody. Maybe my experience can help somebody. And if I can help one person that is going down this road, then there, I feel good about it, because man, it's a journey that most people can't relate to. Your family and your friends can't relate to you. I even had people say things like they were not going to continue to have a relationship with me as my family and my friends if I continued to pursue and be in a relationship with the man that I loved. Now, who the hell they thought they were to have that type of attitude towards me in my life is still beyond me, okay? Because really, talk about control freaks, right? Get a hold of your own life and let me worry about mine. It's kind of how I still look at it, honestly. But yeah, it was difficult because I had friends that wanted to ditch me, and I had family that wanted to ditch me, and the love of my life wanted to ditch me, and it sucked. And in the whole time that I'm going through this terrible roller coaster ride of he loves me not, and I'm behaving in ways that I am not familiar with at all. This is not the me that I know. I would never allow people to do this to me. I would never put myself in this position. What is going on? Like, am I crazy? I think maybe I'm crazy. And I felt crazy. I couldn't eat sometimes. I couldn't sleep. And my body jittered inside and out. And I was a mess. And I had people throwing me to the wolves rather than supporting me. And, I'm grateful for that, because it was just another piece of the journey where I counted on me. I supported me. And that made me stronger. I hate to sound like the old cliche, but that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? It does if we let it, or it can destroy us and it can make us bitter. And the choice is always up to us. But I feel like it did make me stronger. And it focused my attention on me, because I didn't really have things to escape with. So I've never been somebody who loves to play video games. I've never been somebody who, wants to escape into the computer. I hate those things. It's just not how I roll. So escapism for me would be like hanging out with my friends. That would be escapism. Like, let's check out from my reality and go do something. Go do, be busy. And I stopped doing because I stopped wanting to be around the people that I think in their heart they thought they was doing me some kind of favor. But to me, it felt like they were belittling me and degrading me, and so that didn't feel very good. So I stopped. And I had to start going within. And that's really what the twin flame journey is all about. It's about going within. It's about healing the trauma that gives you the triggers. It's about self-love. And I know that you're probably all sick to death of hearing that. It's about self-love. And it's about having yourself so full that your cup is overflowing without having to seek that from without. It's about being able to fill it up from within. And it's not an easy ride. There's nothing easy about it. It is one of the most ugly, painful, depressing, ego-stripping, soul-searching journeys that I've ever been through. And it's beautiful because it is that soul-searching. And it is going within. And it is discovering who you really are. And it is discovering how to love yourself and how to be happy in a world that maybe nobody else loves you, but you love yourself enough, it doesn't matter. And it really is. It really does come down to that. So we went through that period of the up and down, where everybody kind of turned their back on me because I seemed like a crazy woman and they couldn't relate to me. And this was not the Lori that they knew anyway. It wasn't. I wasn't the Lori that I knew, let alone the Lori that they all thought they knew. So I had to figure out who I was and why all of these things were triggering me and why I was so desperate to be loved by somebody that said they didn't love me, and why I was so desperate to be so eager to hear those words from him that the minute he said it again, because we went through that love me not thing, that the minute he said it again, I was willing to put myself in jeopardy of going through that same bullshit all over again. So that, that's how it started. And then eventually, as I look back, what was going on was he was looking to me to fill his cup, right? And I was looking to him to fill my cup. Neither one of us were filling our own cups. We both had a lot of baggage that we hadn't healed. We had bucked up, dug our feet in the ground, and got on with life, because that's what everybody's taught to do. We stuffed all our problems neatly under the bed to not look at them and to just kind of try to blow through it and blow through life. And, when twins get together, they mirror and they trigger, and all of that stuff that I had neatly packed under my bed came flowing out, and it didn't just fill my bedroom, it filled my house, it filled my life, it filled my world. And I had to start healing that. And I didn't know what a twin flame was. I didn't. But I did understand that I needed to start healing some things within me, because I didn't feel good, this didn't feel good, and I wasn't willing to do this for the rest of my life. So that's where my personal healing journey began. We broke up, and we were broke up for over a year. And he thought he discovered that somebody was interested in me. So, of course, he came running and wanted to break that up. He wanted to make sure that didn't happen. He was nowhere near ready to get into a relationship with anybody, literally. He did not have a relationship with self. So he could not have a relationship with me. And I had been healing myself. I had been doing some work, but clearly I wasn't in it enough. And I took him back. I took him back. What a fool. I hadn't healed myself enough. And he hadn't healed anything at that point. So, disaster, yeah. Lasted about 6 weeks. We then broke up again. And during that time, I was doing massive self-work. But I still hadn't really gotten to the point where I loved myself the way I really needed to. I just hadn't. And I hadn't gotten to the point where I loved myself enough to not want someone that was a hot mess. So eventually, he was a hot mess. I was a hot mess. I'm not down in either one of us. I'm just saying. That's how it was. That was just how it was. We were hot messes. I was doing work. He wasn't. So, yeah, he wanted to get back together again. And I took him back. And I was still doing my work. I was doing a shitload of work. And I was really growing as a person and discovering who I was. And that was really good. And that's when he started doing his work. But perhaps he started doing his work for the wrong reasons. Because it didn't take long. It was about 1.5 years before he went back to being a hot mess. And we broke up. And that was really the shifting point for me. It was a good place to be. It hurt. And I felt a bit foolish that here I am again, Here I am again in the same position. But it was a really good shifting point for me. I was working with my Reiki master, the man who attuned me when I had decided to become a Reiki practitioner. And he's great. He was perfect for me. The universe lined things up perfectly for me. And it just so happened that on the day that my twin and I had broken up again, I had an appointment with my Reiki master, who also is a spiritual counselor and, was helping me do my emotional work. Because who heals the healers? Someone's got to, right? We all need a healer. And, I mean, this guy, my heart swells 100 times when I just think of how great, how perfect a match he was for me in helping me move forward in my life. So he came and I gave him the rundown on what was going on in my personal life. And we were talking, and he said, we had this long conversation around my relationships and around my relationship with my twin. And at the end of the conversation, at one point in the conversation, he said, you can see your growth because even in the midst of all of this right now, you're managing to hold your vibration. I wasn't letting it wreck me. Imagine that. I had gone to the store, I'd gotten my errands done, I'd come home and I was living my life. And before, it would literally wreck me. I mean, I'd be incapacitated and didn't care. I didn't care about living. I didn't care about living. In fact, when I wasn't with him, I felt like I was dying, little by little. So, I was like, well, I've done a lot of work, so so it's good that, it's good that I can reflect and see the amount of work that I've done. And so that was good, right? And then at the end of the conversation, when he was getting ready to leave, he said, now don't give up on the two of you. And I looked at him. I didn't even let him finish the sentence. And I looked at him and I said, I cannot focus on that. I am not going to focus on that. I will not focus on that. I'm giving up. I'm giving up on the two of us. And that day I gave up. I surrendered. And I gave up. I had decided I didn't want a hot mess. And I had decided that I was certainly worthy of so much more than this dynamic. And it didn't matter how much I loved him. I loved myself enough at that point, through all of my work, that regardless of how I felt about him, I was done. And that was the beginning of the rest of my life. And the best parts of my life from that point on, to be honest. So, yeah, I had given up on us, and I just went into me. And I just focused on me. And I know you're probably all tired of hearing this, but you got to focus on you. That's all I did. I focused on me. I focused on my own healing. I went through some extensive therapy to heal those traumas, to really look at them, to dissect them, to pull them up, figure out where they all came from. Why am I looking without so much to be loved? Why do I need others' approval? Why do I need his approval? Why do I need him to approve or love me? And, one of the things that I'm really blessed about, I feel, is that my best friend was a guy. I lost him almost 9 years ago now, but my best friend for years and years and years was a guy, and we would talk often. And he would say, one thing that women could really benefit from is that they take their men at their word. Like, if a guy says, I don't want to date you, I don't want to be with you, women need to take that at their word, because often we will, what do we think? We think they're making it up. We have to take that at face value. And so when my twin was telling me, finally it was hitting, when my twin was saying, I don't want to be with you, I don't love you, I took it at face value. And so other people would say they thought he loved me, and I would say he says he doesn't, and I'm taking it at face value. That's what he says, and that's what I'm going to believe. And that's what I believed. So I was in a place where I didn't want a hot mess. I didn't want anyone that was a hot mess. I believed he didn't love me. I knew I loved him, and that was okay. You know what? It's okay to love people. In fact, it's great to love people. And we don't always have to have that feeling reciprocated. If we love ourselves enough, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So that's where I went from there, and I just continued to do my work, and I found things that brought me joy, and I started living the dream. You know, I hate to say it, but that's really what I did. I just said, where were my dreams? What were my dreams? What do I want? What would make me happy? And those are the things that I chased. I chased those things for me that were attainable, that I could do for me, that were tangible. And I went about the business of doing that. And I did that for 4 years. And I did a lot of energy work. Energy work is a big deal. Clearing that energy. And I did a lot of that. I do energy work on myself every single day. And I became the more you do that, the more conscious you become of who you are. I tapped in, I meditated, I spent hours, just with Source and really discovering who I am. And what was fun about that is that I was not any of the labels that everybody had put upon me throughout my life. Your family labels you, they give you a role, you then adopt it, you act it out, and you become that, you think you do. That's not who you really are. And so I went about the business of learning who I really was and clearing myself and doing my therapy and healing myself energetically. And I just went about the business of doing that, knowing I loved this guy, and it became okay. It was okay that I loved him. It was okay that he didn't love me. It was even okay for me that I might be single for the rest of my life. I stopped even worrying about that. I mean, that became something that was so insignificant to me. I could care less. I could have cared less. I certainly didn't need a guy to complete me. And I certainly didn't need a guy to make my life better. I was making my life better. Everything about my life was great. I had drawn people into my life that I could relate to, and they could relate to me. People that were interested in the same things that I was. I had just drawn in a different group of people. It was just, everything about my life I was doing well. And I was feeling good about myself. And I knew how to nurture myself. And if somebody hurt my feelings, I understood that that was something within me that needed healing. And I looked for that. And I found it and I healed it. And, I became more and more conscious of my own actions and my own triggers, and very, very aware of who I am as a person. And I stopped reacting to life, and I started being able to act. I mean, that's something that a lot of us don't, we don't even realize we're reacting, but we're spending our whole life reacting rather than acting. And I began to, be able to make choices of how I was going to respond to things, if I was going to respond, if it was worth my time or my energy. I really got to know myself. And I got to like myself. And not only did I get to like myself, I got to love myself. And the whole time I was doing the work on me, as I'm doing the clearing and the work on me, I always did it on me first. Fill myself with love, fill myself with joy, fill myself with healing energy. From there, every night I would fill my home with healing energy, fill my animals with healing energy, fill my kid and my land and the people that I loved. And that did include my twin. I would fill him with healing energy and clearing. Love and joy and worthiness are the things that I really, really focused on. Love, joy, worthiness. I knew he was suffering. Did I want him back? No, I didn't want somebody that was a hot mess back. But I knew he was suffering, and I loved him. And if I'm going to spend time doing that for everybody else that I loved, I was going to do that for him as well. Did I think it was going to bring him back to me? No. I just did it because I loved him. But first, my energy was given to me. And then after I was done doing that for all the things and all the people that I love and the earth, because I always do the earth healing, when I was done doing all of that, then I would fill myself back up again. And 4 years down the road, he'd been doing the work, and I'd been doing work with him, and we came back together. And it was during that 4-year separation that I was enlightened by my guides and my spiritual team that we were twin flames. And I think, I don't know, I see that there are a lot of you out there that are in separation and you know that you're twin flames. And I wonder, like, I'm just grateful that I didn't know. I'm grateful that I just thought I was in a really messed up relationship and I couldn't figure out why I love this guy beyond measure, beyond anything that I'd ever experienced. I'm kind of glad I had to go through the paces like that, because I didn't have anybody that I was looking to for information. I was just trying to heal myself. And I think that's part of what's going on with this community, is that everybody's looking without to find answers that are within. And I was going to pull some cards, but I think it's just really important that I get this piece out before I start doing the twin flame card pulls for people. But yeah, people are looking without. You're looking without. You're looking for answers in other couples or whatever. And I know it seems like, okay, so you're on here and you're gonna talk about this stuff. I'm just gonna give you some insight from my perspective and what really did help me. Yeah, I was enlightened slowly and over time about what my twin and I were through my guides. I was dense because I was dense, and so they would show me these things, and I would say, okay, I need to give that to myself, and I did. You know, I'd see two souls wrapped, you know, lovingly embracing, and I'm like, that's definitely the symbolism of love. So I need to give myself more love, and that's what I did. And so my being dense as they were enlightening me actually was very beneficial, because I did some really great work on myself during that time. And then, you know, finally, I guess they realized I was just being incredibly dense, and they had to literally spell that out for me. And then I looked into it a little bit, and I didn't like what I saw, because I saw fluffy stories of, oh, you know, twin flames, it's so great. And I'm thinking, it's not for the faint of heart. This is an ugly, horrible, hard, terrible, wonderful, amazing, beautiful, crazy, crazy journey. And it's not for the faint of heart, and there's nothing fluffy about it. And then I'd see other things that were all doomsday about it. And I'm thinking, whoa, way to take people that are maybe low already and kick them in the pants and make them feel even lower. So I didn't seek information the way I think a lot of people are. And I didn't seek people. I didn't seek gurus. I didn't seek people that knew. Or, you know, I had my spiritual counseling and healing that I did for me, that I'd been doing right along for years. And, you know, I looked within, and I looked to my guides. I tapped in and I looked to my guides, because this is the one thing that I know for sure without doubt. We all have a different story, because we're all individuals with a different path and different experiences and different life experiences. So our stories are all different. You guys' stories aren't going to be exactly like mine, and mine's not going to be exactly like yours. There's one thing that we all have in common. We're twin flames. And it's about healing, and it's about healing on the fast track. The minute you come together with your twin flame, it's meant to trigger everything so you heal it. And you're not going to be able to come together with your twin flame in union until you've healed it. And you may be saying you've healed it, but if you've healed it, then you wouldn't be seeking. And if you're still thinking, but if I only had him, then you're not healed. And that takes work. And if you're still looking for questions about him to help you in this journey, and you want to know what he thinks, and you want to know where he stands, and you want to know what he's doing, I'm going to tell you something right now, you're not healed. I got to a point where I didn't give a shit. I had to just not give a shit. I didn't know that that was exactly what I needed to be doing, and that was exactly the point. I had zero clue, but that's where I got to be. And that actually, you know, that kind of expedites their healing, to be honest. Number one, stop chasing, right? One of the things that my divine masculine, my twin, says, and I hope someday that he's not camera shy and maybe he comes on, but I'm not going to push him because we all do things at our own speed. But one of the things that he says is if he wanted any of the divine feminines to know anything, it's that if you guys are in separation and your twin is not healed, you don't want him. You don't want him. He will bring nothing but chaos to your life. And he'll just do that dance and that spin all over again. Focus on you. That's the truth. So, that's the first. This is the first in a few things that I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end this video here. I'm just going to put this video up as is. And when I come back, I think I will go ahead and I'll talk more about the journey. And I will do a reading for people in separation. And I will do a reading for people that are what I call on the roller coaster. I just recently looked up all of this stuff that people have, the phases of twin flames and blah, blah, blah. You know, there are phases, and I can definitely relate to those phases because I've been through them. I've labeled them all with my own terms because I know how that felt to me. So, maybe I'll do a reading for the people living in chaos right now. The love me, he loves me not, back and forth. And I think I'll do a reading for the twins and the divine feminine in separation. And if any divine masculine are listening to this, maybe they'll glean something from me. I don't know. And I'll do a little reading on for those of us that are in union. And yeah, so, you know, we'll just go from there. But, you know, if any of you hear me, look into my eyes. I'm telling you, this journey is more about you than it is him. And you're not going to come together until you make it about you. It's just the truth. All right. Many, many blessings. My heart is with all of you. I understand your pain. I do. So yeah, my heart is with all of you. Many, many blessings. Much, much love from me to you. All right, take care.